Well, that didn't work. So, summertime, the streaming's difficult. Welcome to Lost Ground channel. Easy Reefers channel. Easy Reefers. Yeah, that's the Easy Reefers. Easy Reefers channel. Yeah.
I know I gotta keep you by my side till the day I die. 'Cause baby, ecstasy is in my hand. Oh, when I'm holding yours in mine and walking in the sand. Oh, baby, you know it's fine. But now you done and piss me off. You ain't done something you shouldn't have done. Baby, I'm mad. I'm going on. Oh, I'm going on.
Let's see, am I there? Yes, I'm there. Hey guys. And, where to begin, where to begin? Suppose I should begin by turning on some lights. I have been a busy little bee today. That is for damn sure. I have an exciting breakthrough on my personal plan, which may be an exciting breakthrough on anybody who is searching for a way to fund a business. It's very much a creative but very legal financial arrangement that is it's even provides a bit of tax incentive if and only if you are a properly purpose-aligned entity. So anyway, I have been obviously setting up the new Patreon account, and for those of you who have been silently enjoying the show up until now, I invite you to come and check out the membership tiers that I just arranged. I'm just kind of playing around with it at this point. The one thing I've decided on is based on my little breakthrough, based on my little calculations in my business plan. I have figured out a way to get you guys a means by which to really actually get this shit done and own part of the business in the process. What the hell is that? Coral booger stuck in my fish tank. So anyways, I've been way too busy to keep up with the front glass on them things. Bingo! Anyways, so here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little bit of a graphic that pertains to my particular business arrangement as I'm asking my new would-be Patreon members to help me get accomplished. I'm offering basically investment on layaway, okay? And the payment plan is $420 a month for a year. This gets you 0.7% of the overall net profit for life. And on Patreon you'll find the exact details and projections regarding that. But before I get too much into it, I want to explain the actual legal premise that I'm applying here in order to basically, in addition to Patreon for this channel, which people use to fund, you know, their production on YouTube, which, you know, I'm going to be doing just fine. I'm actually going to be setting up a non-profit organization. And by me, I mean I'm actually going to be getting other people to set up the non-profit organization. And that's the key to what I'm about to explain to you. See, there's this thing called PRI. And that is purpose-related investment. Okay? And what that does is it allows a charitable entity to sustain itself and not have to go begging for donations quite as often by setting up a for-profit entity or investing in, say, some sort of financial product. Now, if the proper filings aren't done annually to prove the purpose alignment, this income will be tax exempt when received. It will be taxed when received by the charity. If you file everything properly, it will be tax exempt when received by the charity. Now, here's the deal. If you have an idea that is in any way similar to mine, as far as, and I'd struggle to think of an example, but basically my product that I want to sell is a perfect way to promote the education and the social work that I'm trying to do. Okay. See, in my situation, to get people to talk about coastal and reef restoration, it wouldn't make sense to start a company that sells mugs and merchandise and stuff with logos on it. Okay. If I go and actually sell marine reef aquarium, that's a really relevant thing that's actually a lot more educational involved and can, actually spread the word and spread the cause around. So that's a purpose aligned cause, okay? And you have to have common purpose in your endeavors. If the primary purpose of the retail facility isn't aligned with the primary purpose of the charity, you can't do this. The charity can still invest, but then when the charity receives income based upon those investments are taxed. Now, see, what I'm going to do here is, in addition to the Patreon deal that I've just offered, I'm going to establish a charity. Okay? That charity is going to attempt to raise $28,000. Okay? Seems like a lot. It's because it is. But here's the deal. I have already talked to a couple of different SBA lenders. And from what I garner, even with my credit situation, which is horrible, my income situation, which is horrible, my asset situation, which is ass, if I have between 10 and 25% down on an SBA loan, there's no problem. As long as, and this is very important, at least 80% of my total loan is going towards tangible benefits, tangible costs like land renovation on a building, construction of a building, equipment, things that they can then count as collateral once they've been purchased. Savvy? Now, the thing is, there was one bank offering me a loan if I have the 80%, if the business plan checks out according to their, scrutinization process. They would then require me to have 10% down so I could multiply the 28,000 into 280,000, basically. And that would allow me to not only complete construction on the entire project and hire people, but it would also allow me to begin prototyping of the flood-proof buildings. Now, getting people to invest in a private company at the amount of $20,000 or more is even more difficult than trying to raise $20,000 for charity. Once I've established the NPO, I'm actually going to be applying for grants as well, and with the specific disclosure of that grant being used to establish this revenue generating source of the Easy Reefers retail store. Now, I am basically going to be a labor leech. Acadian mariculture is going to be me growing fish. Okay? But for most scenarios, that's not really a valid situation, because in most scenarios you'd want to have a nonprofit and a retail outlet of some sort, a service outlet of some sort, something that's making money directly. Here I'm going to have a nonprofit and a retail outlet. I'm going to own most of the retail outlet. I'm going to own all of the wholesaler, and I'm going to be hands off contributing money back to the Easy Reefers Coastal Restoration Foundation. This channel will be the Easy Reefers Coastal Restoration Club, and its revenue will basically be donated by me personally back into the charity, just so I don't have to do anything else with it as far as taxes go. But it's going to be my nice little base point to get to my 10% as far as donations from a for-profit. Stop chewing yourself, dummy. Donations to from a for-profit entity to a not-for-profit entity can exceed 10% per year, but you won't get any kind of tax credits for it. So the maximum that you could actually claim as far as donations on your taxes is 10%. So that's why I've modeled in these as far as ongoing contributions that they're gonna, brag about and everything, because it's gonna be a bandwagon type process. We want all of our customers, not just like the ones who care. We're gonna try to get all of our customers to care and to get into coastal restoration, to make them feel like they have a chance to make a difference. Because when you hear about things like the coast, that's a really big thing. And it's kind of overwhelming to think about going and planting mangrove trees and grass and oyster reefs and stuff like that. But there's two factors that play into that. One is a lack of really understanding about what's going on in the ocean. People don't really feel a scientific understanding or an attached familiarity to the ocean unless they live right on it. And the other thing is, having an aquarium makes that whole thing more tangible, more easy to grasp. Okay, well, I mean, once I've had an aquarium, I know what kind of changes can do what, and I can just kind of estimate based on the scalability, and I know that more people have aquariums, and this is hopeful because, well, hey, if we're all learning about this stuff and we're all going to this store and trying to make a difference, then we might actually make a difference. So it's a quantifiable result, it's a logistical approach, and it's a morale booster. It's a civic involvement that revolves around, let's face it, the most beautiful thing you could possibly purchase to decorate your home is a saltwater reef aquarium. And the problem with more people getting into that is they think it's more difficult than it is. And that's why the name of the store is going to be Easy Reefers, because I want people to come and feel welcome, not knowing anything, feeling like we're going to guide them every step of the way, because we will. And anyway, blah blah blah, yappity yap yap. So who's here in the chats? Feel free to say hello. What's up, Joey? This is just starting, and you missed it. No, so we have set up a Patreon account, okay? And as soon as I figure out where the heck it is, oh, there we go. Oh, it doesn't like me. Oh, it really doesn't like me. Oh, okay. You want that window, you saucy bastard. Okay. So, I opened a new window on the tab and then it didn't care. We've set up a Patreon thing, and as you can see, I still have no patrons, but that's not surprising because we're asking quite a bit. Okay, I have your basic support the channel tier, which I'm going to be adding benefits as I figure out more about how this actually works. But then I have this right here. I'm calling it the Easy Reefers Madness Membership. Okay. And, well, some of you might have to take a second job, okay, if you want to get serious about owning a part of a business. Okay, but this is not charity. The charity one is right here. I mean, not charity. This is not, support Sean so we can keep making videos. That's what this is. This is the support Sean. I call it charity because, I'm not giving you something physical, but this right here. Okay. If you live in the continental United States, upon signing up for this membership program, you will receive 1 Hollywood Stunner Chalice frag, 1 mixed assorted soft coral frag, depending on what you ask for, what I have, 1 frag of codium, 1 extensive amount of Caulerpa prolifera. And let's see here, what else we got. And, okay, so if you do not own a reef aquarium, or if you live outside of the continental United States, your thank you package will include 1 Dropbox link to the entire Mirrors album, recorded by yours truly, including the Easy Reefers theme song, Sunshine in the Rain, 1 diagram of any requested object or concept, mythical, physical, or otherwise. Okay. And 1 custom written silly song about you to be played live on your choice of the Easy Reefers or Lost Begotten channels. And 1 personalized coastal restoration postcard. In addition, you will be enrolled in a program under which after 12 months of payments, after 1 year, and I have this in writing, please go and see it, we're going to be having an online meeting in which I'm going to have the rest of the stakeholders from the business and the charity here, and we're going to be issuing treasury certificates as dividends. And basically, so the investment package is $28,000. Okay, that is for a cash buy-in now sort of thing, and the ROI on this is, I think, recoup at 8 years, and then beyond that, $6,400 projected. Okay, but these are very minimalistic projections that I've used. $6,400 per year beyond that. Now, 12 months at $420 equates to $5,000. Those individual things don't amount to 4.9%. I'm offering 7 of those individual shares, 7 shares of one of those shares, basically. So 4.9 divided by 7 is 0.7% of the company. Okay, and those will recoup at the same rate, but at a lower level. So instead of putting $28,000 in, you're putting in, I think it's $5,000. and then if I get all 7 contributors, then we will have raised, I think, a total of 30,000 something. But after what you call it takes its cut, it gets, they take 10%. So for every $420 you send, I get, I think, what is it, 380 or 400? I'm not sure. Can't do the math in my head right quick, but you get the idea. But the overall investment package, okay, that breaks down into 7 parts, and then after 1 year of payments, each one of those memberships becomes a real owner of the company. And every time we distribute dividends as a company, when the big investor or investors plural get their $6,400, each one of y'all are going to be getting, and I spelled it out on the page, so let's go ahead and look at that. Oh no, I need to look at it more. I can't join my own tier. Let's see here. I'm gonna maximize it right quick. But I have a further breakdown of the ROI on those individual investments, and basically it's like $400 to $930 a year. 400 being on year 4, 900 being on year 8 and beyond. In fact, I think I just remembered it correctly, so I'm just gonna move on. Yeah, it was $401.45 or something I'd calculated after year 4. The first 3 years, there's no money to be made. We're producing fish. I'm not going to guarantee anybody return on investment. Now, I'm going to be selling product. I'm going to have a retail store, but I don't know for sure how big the clientele is going to build up. It may business is booming, and we may have money for y'all after the 2nd year. But I'm planning on paying out dividends at year 4, and then by year 8 to 10, everybody should be recouped and having made 30% plus on their investment. So the 10-year ROI on either one of these, whether or not you're going to invest through Patreon or whether or not you want to come visit me personally and sign a contract, there's going to be a 30% minimum ROI at 10 years. Or we're selling the real estate and everybody gets to collect on that, you know? So the idea is this investment overall, the cash involved, does not equal to the expected real estate value of the completed project. So even if this wasn't a business, basically, we would have a property development that wouldn't be that profitable, but it would more than break even. Everybody would wind up with a little money back in their pockets. Because there's a number of different uses for this facility once it gets built. It's really just that simple. But anyways, I guess I'll go ahead and open her up for questions and comments. I appreciate y'all joining me. I've been going non-stop all damn day. So how's it going? There you go. I will pray for you to win the scratch-off lottery. Yes, Joey, I will pray for you to win this. Please, Jesus. Please, cute, cuddly baby Jesus. Put down your ninja sword and make Joey make Jewy win the lottery. Deer, 6 pound, 9 ounce. So anyways, among the different ways this company will be making money that I didn't account for. I mean, let me put the fucking microphone, my camera back up. Whatever that thing's called. That right there. So, here's the deal. I got a retail side, and I got a wholesale side. I got the East Bank, and I got the West Bank. Both of these sides can keep us afloat. Okay? Basically, this could be a wholesale, ran from home type thing with no parking lot in front. And I could make this kind of money off of that. Or it could be just a retailer that buys fish from wholesalers and sells them in the store. And I could make this work off of that. But we're going to have both. And not only are we going to have the net income from the retailer and from the wholesaler, but the retailer is actually going to be able to maximize profits and reduce costs because it's got the wholesaler in-house. So we're going to be having our own products, which are going to be at a significantly higher profit margin, and those are going to be able to augment the sales cost or the sales price of your average everyday retail products like pumps and skimmers and salt and, you know, different supplies. Most retail stores that don't produce their own fish would have to charge as much as possible for these items. Okay, so I'm hoping to make a more congenial situation for my customers and still make more money for myself overall and for my investors. And the way you do this is two things. First of all, you have 30 years experience like I do, and you're able to breed true percula clownfish, which basically means you can breed anything if you really tried. And the other thing is this facility has to be an exercise in engineering perfection. It has to be purposely designed to fit its function. It has to help with lighting, it has to help with cooling, it has to help with keeping the temperature steady year-round. It has to make water changes easier. It has to make keeping water clean easier. And above all else, and this is something that most people don't even think is possible, but for me, it's a #1 priority. Above all else, it cannot ever flood. Okay? This building right here, I'm going to have to finagle the view on it again. But we got to do what we got to do. If you can view this in a very large screen, I'm sure it looks just fine. But for those of you on your phones, it's probably just absolutely horrible. So I'm going to attempt to chop the bottom off so we can look at it one slice at a time. As soon as my right clicking catches up to my left clicking, there we go. Okay. Alright, that's too much. So, purpose-driven building design, you get the point. You don't need to keep reading that. Let's see here. So, a major factor, dude, that's a major factory. No, a major factor inhibiting the success of both aquacultural and retail marine businesses is the expense and inefficiency of having to adapt an existing structure to needs it was not designed to meet. To address this issue, Sean Morris, that's me, has designed the ideal low-cost structure that suits those needs. Okay, so, let me just explain this. And by the way, my investors, because I'm considering this group of 7 people I'm trying to collect, I know where you guys live, I'm going to make you the International Advisory Council, okay? And as such, I'm going to give you full access to these designs after the year is complete, okay? So, and that includes the prototyped, updated development data as well, because I want to make this a global effort. I mean, come on, people. We can build the internet. We can build fucking stealth bombers. Okay? We can build fire trucks that don't even need water. But we can't build a house that can survive fucking water? Oh, what happened? You lost everything? Yeah, it got wet. Oh, shit. Who'd have thunk that water would fall out of the sky? It's like a thing that, like, what do they call rain? Oh yeah, rain. It fucking happens, doesn't it? And flash flooding and tsunamis, and these things are natural processes, people. They're always going to happen. And what are we gonna do? Just keep buying insurance? Is that the plan here, people? No. There's got to be a better way. That's called a Paragon, okay? And let me just tell you this. I'm not going to go into the content that I've previously provided on this channel. But the fact of the matter is, when somebody who's good at warning you about stuff, who warns you about things and they come true, right? When they say you're going to need to build a boat, you should probably listen. Yeah, history shows. So anyways, here we have further descriptions as soon as I can narrow down the photo a little bit more. In this particular setup, the retail counter is going to be within line of sight of the entire customer interaction area. Okay, this will increase sales, increase customer connectivity, and reduce theft. The top of the building features a pneumatic ventilation shaft powered basically by the same type of little airbags that you'd put on a Honda Civic if you ordered your lift kit off of eBay. Okay? Just going to be a simple compressor airbag hydraulic system. A lift system. Not hydraulic because it's air. Those are opposite things. Now, we're going to have internally adjustable skylights that are going to basically diffuse the light that they take in from the sky, because you don't want bright, hyperheated spots forming inside your aquaculture facility. But there are ways to cheaply break up and disperse the light from these skylights. And I've even actually found a skylight that can go on the apex of the center aquarium. And that's going to be great. This point right up here in the middle, the very apex of that building, there's going to be a little pyramid-shaped skylight on it. How cool is that? You got them at Home Depot. We're going to be using a mixture of wall-mounted and floor-mounted AC units. And let me go ahead and scroll this the other way. Oop, not that far. And I'm not going to show you the extents of the design that I've developed over the past 7 years. If you think you know anybody with 50 points lower of an IQ than mine that can somehow get ahead of me, you're welcome to try. But I have basically configured the most cost-effective and efficient way possible to resist tsunamis and earthquakes. So that's kind of cool, right? A little bit helpful. They're kind of a thing, and they generally speaking, suck. Well, these angled perimeter pylons, I guess you could call them, both interlock with flexible beams and combine to form a lateral displacement resistance that that makes this far superior to any competing models. And speaking of floods and natural disasters, Katrina, can you make coffee, please? Yep. No, she wasn't named after the storm. The storm was named after her. Let's go. It's not even visible at the moment. So, another advantage of the well, I'll explain a little bit more, just a teensy tiny bit more, because I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give away my invention here. Okay. The thing that makes this far superior, if you go and search for flood-proof buildings right now, you will find many results. Okay, but the thing that makes this far superior is both the variable height capability of it and the lateral resistance capability. Okay, and that's just the flood-proof part. The fact of the matter is the entire building is designed to resist disasters. The building itself can, while floating, both survive a 14-foot wave and crashing into another household. Okay? Yeah, when it comes to Paragon versus regular house, Paragon will win every time. Okay? Now, one thing I have included in my business plan is that, just a little note, I don't disclose anything until I've already thought of something better. So don't think that stealing any of my ideas is a good idea. Okay, you're much better off investing, because by the time you will have stolen an idea from me, I will have replaced it with something better. Okay? Now, one of the advantages of having this structure that is already sitting up high, a raised building, if you will, is that when it comes to accessing the plumbing, what you can do is simply have a walkable or crawlable space underneath. If you want to make it crawlable, you can always use a mechanical dolly and wheel yourself around under there. And you can have access panels to all of your return plumbing for a system that can keep you from ever having to throw away water change water. And you can have a whole secondary filtration system to treat your water after you've discarded it from your grow out systems or whatever you're doing. And then you can have a long-term treatment, larger storage facility, whether it be like in this system used to grow mangroves, or an outside, some sort of there's a lot of different ways to treat water, through long-term bacterial processes, those kind of things. I have a system to not only treat my water, but to restore all the natural minerals to it, basically for free. Because I'm that damn good. Ha. These are the jokes, folks. These are the jokes. But yeah, so this is going to allow me to do what I call LIFA stream water changes. And of course, we're going to have a split level door and a handicap ramp on here to give extra cargo access. Also, the front sign, if you can see, there's a little kind of like a sign right above the door there. Okay, that has an assembly attached to it that flips forward and then locks in place during the event of a storm. In that scenario, the smaller door can still open, and you still have access to the front door while it's being protected from ballistics. Naturally, you're going to want a little wooden gate down there at the bottom, and the sign goes and locks in against the top. Kind of folds out, brace, 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 brace. Anyways, did I mention I thought of everything? Yes, I thought of everything. You know why I got the handicap ramp? My sister's in a wheelchair, that's why. And she'd be pissed if I made a place without a really nice handicap ramp. And I don't want my sister pissed at me. She's related to me, you know? Anyways. So if I could pull another graphic back up here. I will be doing a Patreon video once I get some serious contributors to explore the design and possibilities of this here disaster-proof aquaponics facility. And I will show y'all the full dramatic effect of what happens. I'll zoom in on it a little bit right there, just a little bit. A little bit of zooming never hurt anybody. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Oh. So what's illustrated here is how the building can raise up within the confines of the pylons, then can raise beyond the pylons, and at that point the remaining structures are designed to break upon impact so that damage to the building itself does not occur. Okay, kind of like a crumple zone. And then you get a yacht, basically. You get a floating houseboat that is designed like one of those large ship lifeboats, okay, to not be toppled under just extremely large waves. And yeah, that's it right there. But anyways, ooh, look, aquaponics, the teaser. So one of the big educational aspects of this new facility, as I've discussed before, is going to be this here Gulf Atlantic Interactive Educational Aquarium. And we're going to have everything from inviting local diving clubs to come and break in new divers with their own little private coral reef to I've got a plan for during like promotional events, if you will, whether or not we're hosting an event for somebody else or it's one of the events that we're having. There's some local police officers who I'm kind of buddies with, and the sheriff and the principal of the local high school. Everybody loves him. It'd just be funny as hell. I'm gonna build one of those chairs that you try to throw something at a target and the chair goes, and they go into the big reef tank. I think that'd be great. I think I'm gonna just have to do that one day. But anyways, it's gonna be showcasing a plethora of indigenous and near habitat species. Now, more on why the building is shaped the way it is. Not only is it built to house this structure at an incredible cost reduction by integrating that aquarium into the superstructure of the building itself. But if you see this this live stream water change thing that I was telling you about, that's graphicked out right there. It goes from the tanks into the sumps, and then there's a hole in the sumps, a drain from the sumps to the mangrove systems. Then there's a drain from the mangrove systems at the end of a linear stream back to Gaia, and then Gaia is used as a reservoir to fill up the individual tanks that get their water changed. Now, what you're looking at on the bottom left corner there, I'm going to go ahead and move to the center, because like the most modern buildings they've built in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Nairobi and South Africa, in Djibouti, these buildings, even as cheap as their construction is, are designed not only to resist earthquakes, but to be somewhat self-cooling. According to the power savings that people with similar systems implemented have gotten in skyscrapers, the savings can be up to 30% of annual power costs. That's amazing to me. So what this is going to use is basically stone in the shade with air going through it up into the building. That air is going to be vented through the top of the building. So it's going to have a constant flow of cooled air coming in and warm air going out. So on days where you're going to want to run the AC, you'll simply reduce the amount of air going out so that dehumidification can take place. There's going to be those in-room air conditionings are actually going to be at the outlets of this system, so that they can further cool that air and dehumidify it. But on a day where it would just be like a stagnant condition might heat up a building, you're not going to need any air conditioning running whatsoever. It's just going to be a pleasant 70 degrees or so in there. It's going to be great. You won a free ticket and $20. All right, Joey. Big balla. Anyways. So, I think we're done here. Anybody got any actual questions for me? Come on. The purpose alignment thing I was talking about earlier. As far as if you have a product that's a social good, okay, and you've been thinking about setting up a charity to promote the product, that's illegal, okay? You can't do that. You can, however, set up a charity to promote the ideals of that product, and then with that charity and someone else as treasurer, that's very key, okay, make a PRI, that is a purpose-related investment, into your private entity, okay? Now you have to have an operating agreement in which your entity is designed to be sold in shares to prospective people, to prospective investors, and you will have to have basically an investment package that pays back an annual or otherwise dividend, okay? So it's basically they're purchasing kind of a pseudo financial package via a stake in your company, okay? Now you get to retain ownership. You get to decide what percentages you want to sell, but you need to do a whole lot of projections and calculations and figure out the profit potential of your company, how much it's going to cost to set it up, how long it's going to take you to repay that back, before you can calculate how much yield your investors are going to get for their you know, for their 5,000 or whatever each investor needs to put into your company for you to get it rolling. Now, I have basically allotted out 3 different paths for myself to get funded. Okay, and if all of these 3 things work just a little bit, I still, you know, will get the ball rolling. To get an SBA loan with crappy credit, okay, you need to have a brilliant business plan, first of all, but you need to have 10 to 25% down. So by raising the initial chunk of capital with, in my case, I'm going to be using a nonprofit. I'm going to be selling one 4.9% share to what I'm hoping will be the International Advisory Council. Okay. And then I am going to hopefully at that point have enough value to attract a couple of local investors who are going to put cash into the company. But see, if I was just able to get the 7 mini shares sold, or to get enough money through the charity to buy one of the shares with the charity, or if I was able to find a private investor, any one of those things by themselves would then get me the small business loan as a capital multiplier, and that would still enable me to attract more private investment. So what you want to do is make sure that when you're offering up percentages of your company, you remember that that's going to be your money that you're working to make in the future, and you don't want to sacrifice more than you want to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? And you need to make sure that there's enough to where this can be done later on, and that can be done later on. Say, like, for instance, if you want to reincorporate and take it public, or actually wind up selling stocks, you need to have, okay, so this 4.9% or this 10%, you know, 10% chunks or whatever kind of chunks you have, they need to make sure that you're only going to sell so many of them to where you're going to both retain full control and still have a percentage of the company in case you need an equity investor or something like that. Now, the reason why I'm using 4.9% is because 49% is the baseline for, you know, control of a company. You need to own 51% of it, so I can sell up to 49% of it. So in simplifying my math both for now and for the future, I calculated, you know, 10% and 10% of 49% or whatever, and then just, you know, the easiest way to multiply that based upon how many of my regular viewers I think might actually be able to rearrange their finances and contribute to part of this company. Maybe 7 people tops. Okay, so 49 divided by 7 is easy enough. 7! Good number, good times. Oh, speaking of numbers, this is hilarious. Hold on, I have to show this. I hope it didn't change. This is genuinely hilarious. The RTF document. Look at the size of it. I swear I didn't do that on purpose. I swear I had no actual thought of possibly doing that at all. In fact, I had no idea that the RTF was going to be remotely that big. 420 megabytes. It's hilarious. Like, literally, I got done with it. I got done all the editing and corrections and everything, and I clicked save, and I closed it after loading it into WordPerfect for further editing. And that's what it was. 420 megabytes, exact. Well, if you're looking for anybody to help you invest or looking for a co-investor, you need to go to the to that Patreon link there and jot down those ROI figures, because that's where it's at. It's a, you know, like, here's how safe a bet this is. As I go through this entire process, I'm going to be making sure that if I die, somebody else can come and read the instructions and do what I'm doing. Okay? This is going to be a business that's going to be a pillar of the Zachary community here. Okay? It's bigger than me. You know what I mean? Especially when you consider that we're going to be making the materials to save the coastline of Louisiana as a byproduct of our production process. Okay? Now, it does seem like 10 years, 30% yield is relatively high risk, low yield, but you know, all I can say to that effect is I'm going to have a completely transparent accounting process. I'm going to be investing in tangible assets, and I'm going to be producing about a third of what I wind up selling out of that store. So, as far as secured by assets goes, I'm at about 80%. 80% is going to be inventory on my shelves and equipment that can be sold. Won't be able to be sold for what I pay for it, but I'm not going to be paying retail for it, so it's not going to be sold at much of a loss. And the sooner it gets sold, the better. So if I'm not going to make money, if I'm not going to succeed, it's going to be pretty obvious pretty soon, right? Okay. And at that point, I'm either going to start selling used equipment from the aquacultural side, or you know, just converting it into some kind of a novelty type store. Okay, you know, like for fishing and hunting supplies and stuff like that, in addition to what's left of the aquarium side of it. And you know, I'll be looking for someone to buy me out to try to salvage it, and if that fails, we'll just wind up putting the building on the market. And like I said, as a real estate development, let me see if I have anything that actually represents how good the damn building is going to look. It's going to have bamboo floors. Okay? It's going to have horizontal toast bamboo floors. That's the particular little name of the flooring material I've picked out. Let's see. I need to go to the materials list to really explain, and maybe you can visualize what exactly I'm talking about here. So, fuck it, let's go ahead and open up the business plan itself. This is not the final version. My dad actually has the final version. Because, well, apparently my laptop's better than his, but he's got the real Microsoft Office, so. Alright. So, what I'm going to need to do is, well, first of all, I can move that little window right there so y'all can see that a little bit better. Yeah, it works, kind of. Was it? Thought it worked. Oh no, the other one. Shit. That one. Oops, I mean girl. Girl, girl, girl. Ah! Easy Reefers Coastal Restoration Club and Online Marine Fish Emergency Room is seeping investors, just oozing out of us. No, we're seeking investors to help create the Easy Reefers retail store and their in-house wholesale supplier. It's easy for me to say. Acadian Culture to make coastal restoration a part of a growing and exciting hobby. Which, by the way, it's not right now. Okay? Reefers talk about reef restoration, but they don't talk about coastal restoration. So YouTube, that's what I'm trying to do here, is get reefers to talk about restoring the coastline. So if you like, eating fish and breathing oxygen, that kind of thing, help me go viral, please. So anyways, let's do the slow scroll tour. No, that's going to take too long. Table of contents. How many pages? 59 freaking pages. Look at that. 59 pages. Oh my god. So. If we go all the way down to the, not the see, that's, look, every item, every freaking item on the shelf, every item that I'm going to carry, I've already done the freaking cost and net for it. Okay? Just look at that. It's the best business plan ever. Every fish that I'm going to stock. Not only did I do a net for it that would pay my bills, but if you look, that's just like saltwater fish on sale prices, okay, versus saltwater fish normal prices. When you have an account with Quality Marine and you can get the price that your fish store gets them from, you're paying like pennies on the dollar. I mean, maybe 10 cents on the dollar, tops. So, this net, while projected to cover cost, while projected in a way that can cover expenses, can pay employees, can even provide me with like $52,000 a year in profit for me, little old me, that I gotta share with y'all. But that's why it's only 52, I think, actually. But it's all going to go up from there, because these are all projected at the prices, like that's just the best price that I could get now. Everything here I'm going to buy a whole lot cheaper than I have it listed. So that just means more immediate loan repayment, more immediate investor return. Dingo, would you stop? Now, okay, so here we have the Paragon 7 Series Model 7A elevated aquaculture facility. Lot survey $700, appraisal $500, septic installation and underlying plumbing $2,500. We have, I think, 2,868 square feet of Home Legend bamboo toast, 5/8" flooring. The reason why I've chosen that is to go over the plywood sheathing and the floor framing. I really want something that's strong, that's going to add strength to the overall structure. 5/8" thick bamboo, yeah, that'll do. Really can't get much better than that. So as far as like a durable retail store surface, that's also gonna be fucking beautiful. can't really do much better than that, especially considering that the wood grain is actually going to be, if you can just barely see, it's going to be like so. Okay? That's just a little teaser. It's going to be very beautiful wood flooring, just in the way that it's arranged. We're going to be using a corrugated asphalt roofing on top of an asphalt base. Basically going to be using corrugated asphalt roofing as though it were shingles, and that's because of the rather peculiar shape of the building, and because it comes in fun colors. In fact, pull up another little picture of it here. So this front is actually going to be blue shingles. The top is going to be brown shingles. The sides are going to be tan shingles. It's going to look like an old Papa's Pizza, only with a blue front. Now, Papacitas. Remember Papacitas? I don't know. It's. My mom was a waitress once. I'm trying to remember whether it was Papa John's or Papacitas or Papa Lock. I don't fucking know. So, Andorra corrugated roof. You're gonna be having these Velux skylights. We're going to be using bamboo fencing as pseudo half walls. That's going to match with the dramatic effect of the exposed wood vaulted ceilings and the flooring. It'll be very nice. Let's see, bamboo, floor molding, quarter molding, riser molding for the bathroom entry, joint compound. I'm going to use all mold tough fire code core sheetrock. That's because I'm not going to be using a terribly large amount of sheetrock. So I figure what I use, I might as well make it as water resistant and fire resistant as possible. Now, let's see here. For cooling, I'm going to be using two 18,000 BTU wall mount units that also have 16,000 BTU heaters, and then 4 of the in-room, just you can sit them on the floor, 6,000 BTU AC units. We're going to be having 1 toilet, 2 mini sinks, 1 bathroom sink, 1 utility sink, a big old 40-inch trough sink like you'd find like if you worked in a restaurant or parts cleaner type sink. Going to be using cheap white ceramic floor tile in the bathroom and on the bathroom walls. We're going to have a shower for emergencies and for divers in the bathroom. It's going to drain into the floor of the bathroom. And I think I actually... Yes, I'm going to have a corner round-edged shower base, and I'm going to have a corner round-edged sink. So the bathroom is going to have a nice little unified look to it. It's all going to be American standard bathroom equipment, which I just like having matching stuff in the bathroom. You know, if you're going to use Kohler, use all Kohler. If you're going to use American Standard, use all American Standard. I've done a whole lot of property acquisitions and carpentry and renovations and stuff growing up because my mom was in that kind of real estate. So I would help her doing contracting during the summer. I would even help design both interiors and landscapes. So I actually have a good bit of experience going into this. I don't know if anybody could just put a list together like this, but it's not as easy as it looks, I would say. That's every plank and board and piece of plywood and all the roofing materials, everything that you're going to need to build this entire building, including electrical drops, outlets, conduits, and 42 covered non-metallic GFCIs. 42 covered non-metallic GFCIs are going to be in that building. So it's going to be a nice building. It'll be a nice building for whoever wants to set up whatever kind of business in it, in the odd event that we should fail to turn a significant profit. And you know, I just thought it was due diligence on my part to make any would-be investor feel as secure as they can by making contingencies for every possible scenario. Like, for instance, right now they've outlawed connection and collection in Hawaii and Indonesia. And, you know, an investor might hear something like that and think saltwater aquarium business is a scary thing to invest in. Well, for one, it's not, because I produce my own fish. And for two, it's not because I have backup plans, you know? So, my base amount to get started is going to be by leveraging an SBA loan with whatever I can garner in the meantime. And hopefully it won't come down to my dad having to leverage equity out of his condo to put up the money, but he said he's interested in doing that. I don't want him to have to. It's gonna take a long time because he's still in fucking bankruptcy and shit, you know. So that's like a long way off. That's like my backup plan. But so if I get the Patreon thing done, I'm gonna probably do GoFundMe for the Easy Reefers charity. Once I actually register that charity, I have a meeting tomorrow with my prospective treasurer, who's actually my former real estate agent. And speaking of real estate, so the SBA loan is going to be used to purchase land outright. That land is then going to be leveraged for this right here, the $40,000 rolling line of credit, which is going to be used for inventory and working capital. So, as it turns out, of the $163,000 that I will actually be needing to borrow, or to raise and borrow, $143,000.58 is going to be in buildings and equipment. Okay. That includes parking lot, point of sale systems, the works. And here is, on that minimalistic pattern, how I intend to actually get basically $243,000 worth of shit built. Okay. And that is by not doing everything all at once. Okay, by doing the most profitable things first as they need to be done, so that I can continue to bring in money and roll over that working capital. And you can see the year zero plan involves initial loan expenditures of $163,058. I'm pretty sure I can come up with the $58 myself. Year one, it's designated by things that are previously described up in there: broodstock 1, broodstock 2, filtration tub, incubator A, rotifer A, 10-foot, 10-gallon by 8-foot wide clownfish grow out system, seahorse display system, and one more filtration tub, total of $6,800. Retail systems, total of $6,700. Total debit from the rolling line of credit at that point is going to be $13,000. The remainder is going to roll over into the next operating year, in which I'll be selling and spending. So we're going to be spending $39,000 more dollars after taking in $16,000. So we're going to wind up with a balance of negative $23,000, debited on that line of credit that's secured by the land we just bought. And then on year 4, we're going to be able to pay that back and keep a rolling inventory account worth at least $20,000 at all times. On year 5, we're going to completely have the rolling line of credit closed out and be paying cash for inventory. We're going to actually at that point own all the inventory in the store. And year 7 to 10 is when I have planned for completion of loan repayments and beginning to show profit and to plan parties with my investors. I mean, partay. So here's a note for property developers based on the land value, showing a $67,000 return out of the $28,000. Or wait, no, not the $28,000. Oh, $67,000 on top of the entire funding budget. So if they loan me $163,000 and then I wind up having to sell the property, their share would net them $67,000, $67,200, and that is with the from what I was researching at the time that I typed this, the 14% equity that they were asking in return for loaning you the money. So at 14% equity, they would still make money if I just, sold this crap as a real estate development. And then this math actually proves that they will make more money if we stick to our little menial projections there. And now, like I said, I accounted for wholesale sales to my own store. I accounted for online sales, like at the rate that eBay sells percula clownfish. But what I didn't account for is the wholesale sales that I'm going to be trying to set up online. Okay, so I'm going to be trying to set up a dealer-to-dealer type thing, even selling to other wholesalers, and I don't have any way to account for that revenue stream. And also, as far as my eBay sales estimations go, I think I'm going to gonna meet those expectations because I made those projections before I figured out exactly how well I'll be able to integrate light speed into everything. So what I was counting before was basically just clownfish sales on eBay, but I'm going to be able to bring a whole lot of different products to the table on eBay and on my own website. And I have budgeted in this plan a custom app for my store that customers can use to get news updates from me, to send donations to the Coastal Restoration Club, and to order their food and supplies without having to come to the store. They can just order them right there. We'll let them know when they're ready to be picked up, or we can deliver them that day or the next day or whatever if they're in the local area. But yeah, not saying a word about that. But anyways, so if you're watching this as a future prospective investor, just a little bit of background about me is probably appropriate at this point. I was born here in the good old US of A in a little old town called New Orleans. You might have heard of it. And because my dad was a national security savvy database contractor, basically a self-taught computer genius. Coffee! Now, you want to give me a cup? Can you give me a cup of coffee? Somebody give me a cup of coffee, please. Streaming. Trying to keep working. Cute earrings. Where'd you get those? Is that an earring, or is that like a clip or something you've shoved in your ear? Oh yeah, that's right. I remember, man. So, one of the interesting places I wound up moving that made an impression on me for the rest of my life is Wellington, New Zealand. We lived for a couple little months in Sydney, Australia, but we lived for about a year and a half in this house. If you go south of Wellington on Highway 1 and then turn right at the beach, there's this little neighborhood that's up on top of the mountain overlooking Wirral Bay and Princess Bay right there, I think is what it's called. And we lived right there in that neighborhood. And in fact, it was in that neighborhood where the neighbors came and said, "Everybody come out, everybody come out." And the Queen of England, Elizabeth herself, was driving down my street and stopping and saying hello to all the little children. And man, the view from that place, the ocean, you just constantly see ocean. And there was an irregular amount of rainbows. My mother enjoyed photographing rainbows while we were there. But this beach, right down there, like at the end of our backyard, you know, there were a couple other houses down that way, but there was like a road, and then there was the beach right there. There were these rocky tide pools, and you know, nothing I don't think I've ever experienced has fascinated me more than those tide pools. I went to California and you know, walked around on the slate bays around there and got to see the tide pools that they have. Not even close. I'm not saying they're the most beautiful ones in the world, but they're the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. Just teeming with anemones and trocus snails and cone snails and brittle stars, and sometimes a little Portuguese man of war, like something crazy will show up. And I knew what they are. I knew not to touch them at a very young age. I was this little wannabe scientist geek. I had a khaki jacket with a species guide for birds and snakes, and a species guide for insects and fish, and a species guide for reptiles and mammals. I had one in each of my pockets, and anything I ever encountered, I'd be able to find it. And I remember having a blast down there. And we had lived in Louisiana and Alabama, and briefly stayed in Houston before that. And wound up moving back to the United States, back to Houston, Texas, where my dad started setting up saltwater fish tanks. And he would go and buy glass, and we'd glue it together and make our own fish tanks. We made one of the first cube aquariums I've ever seen, back in 1987, 88-ish. And, well, long story short, I had a long history in the marine hobby, especially. And I've been wanting to breed clownfish since the late 80s. It's just always been a dream of mine. And after surviving Hurricane Katrina and witnessing every single available minute of footage on the 2011 Fukushima tsunami, and having managed several businesses, having been a retail protection manager, having been a receiving manager, having been a retail store manager, having been a computer repair manager, having been a automotive sales dealership manager, I thought it was appropriate that, well, I mean, let me just put it this way. I got two choices. I can continue trying to, work for people who are far less intelligent than me. Let's face it. Or I can start my own business. And considering that my spine is broken in 3 places, and it's very difficult for me to maintain a place of employment because of that, the decision's been made for me. It's either I start a business, or there's nothing. Now, in car sales, and this is one of the things that I felt like gave me an advantage going into the reef aquarium sales thing. You have what's called the exchange of information. Now, one of the main things that leads me to believe that I will have no competition is not only the extreme distance of my nearest competitor, but the fact that they're not very helpful. They don't really make new people feel welcome. And, well, when it comes to sales, that's not what you want to do. See, the whole way to build value in your local store to keep people from going and just buying shit online is to be helpful, is to have an exchange of information. That's not just providing them with information. You provide them with information so you can get their information, okay? Without their information, you cannot follow up, okay? Now, you might be thinking, what, are you going to make a follow-up on like a $40 or $50 purchase? No. We're making a follow-up on a $5,000 customer. Okay? Someone's gonna come in and look at buying a reef tank. They might spend $1,500 just on the reef tank itself, just on the glass and the stand and the lights. They might spend another $1,000 on filtration. They might spend another $1,000 filling it up. And then they're going to spend another $5,000 over the next 5 to 10 years maintaining it. I don't even know how much we got up to just then. You know, it's every person that walks in that door needs to be treated like they're buying a luxury car from you. Okay, and I think realizing that would actually help a lot of current local fish store owners, especially when it comes to saltwater reef aquarium sales. Because when you think about it, even somebody who just buys a $150 nano tank, they're going to be winding up spending a total of $1,000 within a year if you do your job right. Anyways, your job is to make people feel confident in what they buy when you run a fish store, okay? Because they're relying on you, who they see take care of all these fish, to tell them how to take care of their little fish. And they want to buy the stuff that you use. They don't want to buy the stuff that you got a good deal on that you think will work good enough for them. No. We're going to have in Easy Reefers the same equipment for sale that we use on our systems. Which means I'm not going to be having a bunch of long-lasting commercial equipment on my systems. But at this point, there really is no commercial option available as far as that stuff goes. So you're left with a couple of different choices. You can put the nice stuff on your aquariums there in the shop, and then have to put a markup on cheap shit just to be able to pay your bills because you spent too much on your equipment. Or you can find a mid-grade solution and then offer your customers that same mid-grade solution. And that's what I'm going to be doing with the current USA products, Fluval products, focusing on a few different things from Tunzi and Reef Octopus, that kind of thing. In fact, that's worth talking about right there. What's up, Mr. Conway? How are you doing, sir? Ding-a-ding-a-ding. Yeah. Joey just sent me a message, but that's news and politics. We don't talk about that on here anymore. Let me just open this back up, because I want to show you just how I'm going to stock the retail merchandise. Okay? You don't need to focus on what can I buy in bulk and sell at a high profit. Okay? That's going to piss more customers off and going to cost you more business in the long run. Aww. What just happened? It's not working. I just clicked something and I don't even know what I clicked. Show chat. Oh. I clicked hide chat. Okay. So, the aquariums I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell a 5-gallon and a 16-gallon. I'm going to sell a 32-gallon or a 30-gallon, depending on which one I can get at the time, because neither one of those are really available all the time. You got JBJ 30 and you got your Core Life 32. Okay, both about the same price. Then you're going to have the 45-gallon. Okay, and that's going to be all my biotopes. That's going to be all my pretty rimless systems right there. Okay, so not a tremendous inventory cost. If somebody wants a big, pretty custom system, I'm going to have to order them a big, pretty custom system. And chances are I'll be able to find one for cheaper than they'll be able to find. And I'm not going to try to make an arm and a leg off of them during that one transaction, because if I give them a good deal on that aquarium, they're going to come to me for their equipment, and they're going to come to me for their livestock. So from that point, I'm going to be selling the normal 10, 20, 29, 40, 55, 75, and 120. And I'm going to be keeping just one of each in the store, except for the aquariums that I'm going to be stacking one on top of the other. I might actually keep 2 of the 55s in there as well, but I don't have that budgeted, so I'd have to wait until, sales allow for that. Or sacrifice some other inventory, which I have some things, a little more cautious than I might need them to be. And if it turns out that I am being overcautious, then I can reduce the order on that and then order another 55 and keep that in stock. I have 2 55s all the time. Because the reason why is those double-decker aquariums I'm going to keep, set up so people can see what they are and why they would want them. Now, another good example of distributing product and kind of making decisions for customers and not giving them too much variety, giving them one thing at each price point that's going to be the best option at that price point. Skimmers. Okay, I'm going to have a hang-on skimmer that can handle up to an 80-gallon. I'm going to have a hang-on skimmer that can handle up to a 120-gallon. And then I'm going to have 2 internal skimmers that can handle like a 200-gallon. One's going to be a little more expensive, but it's going to be a more compact package. And then I'm going to have a skimmer that can handle up to 300 gallons. And these 2 skimmers right here, let me get action. Sorry, I didn't even realize it was too far down to see. These 2 skimmers right here are going to be used in the store extensively. This skimmer right here is the one that I'm currently using right now. This skimmer is its predecessor. The one that I'm using right now, I'm going to be pushing more because I have more confidence in it, because I use it. And more skimmer is often better, so I'm going to keep 2 of those in stock. I'm just going to keep 1 of the other ones in stock. Okay, giving my customers options, but not inflating my overhead. And with the integrated technology system that I'm going to be having, as soon as that item sells, it's going to be on a PO order for that night. So it's going to be there in a couple days. So as soon as it sells, it's ordered again. And if it cost me a sale because it took me a couple days to get something in that I only keep 1 of them in, that's a good thing. And then maybe I'll try to augment the number, because that's a sign that I'm going to be having better than projected sales expectations. Now, here's a great example on how you need to really put thought into how you stock your store. And obviously the reason I'm doing all this is not just to help out other people who are trying to start up reef aquarium stores. But I want my investors to know just how thoroughly I've thought all this through. As you can see on the equipment here, we're going to be, when it comes to pumps and lighting, we're going to be keeping $6,000 worth of inventory. And when that inventory is sold, we will have a net of $1,400. So not an incredibly high profit margin, but overall, the profit margins average out to 39%. Now, this $6,000 here, I'm probably not going to pay that much for those items. That's what the price is listed at on bulk reef supply. You know, that's not the wholesale price. I'm going to be netting more than that. But like I said, I wanted to justify my operating expenses based on a menial profit projection. So I've listed here, what can I expect to sell between 1 week and 1 month? How many of each of these things should I expect to sell during that time? How many do I need to keep on the shelf to where I won't wind up with an empty shelf for more than 3 days at a time? Now, where was I? The E-flux pumps. Okay. Now, I have Rio Aqua return pumps, and that ranges from, I think, 593 to 768 gallons per hour. Okay. And then I have, actually no, I canceled keeping the larger reef octopus pump in there because I canceled it on the Gaia aquarium because it's more expensive than all these other pumps. And actually this E-flux return pump, I can get more out of 2 of these for the price than I can out of one of the 4,200 or 4,700 gallon per hour reef octopus blaster pumps. So here I'm using 2 of these in one of my displays, and I'm going to be using a couple of these smaller ones in some other different areas in the store. Okay, so by stocking these, I'm going to both be having merchandise available for my customers, but I'm also going to be keeping backups on hand. So if in the odd event that one of my pumps in the store can break, I can just go over there to the shelf, pull it off the shelf, and that's another advantage of using what you sell. Now, this is a hot item. I expect to sell a lot of these because, you know, I bought a lot of them. They're fun. They really are fun. Wave pumps are fun, okay? You know, you always wanted to have your own little wave pool. Well, if you can set up your own little wave pool in an aquarium, fuck it, why not? Right? So, the thing about these is, you need to have more than one of them. Because you never know what combination somebody's going to buy. So if somebody comes in and buys one of these lights, okay, I'm going to keep 2 of each of these lights in stock so that I don't miss out on a sale. Because this is going to be the primary type of light I'm going to push. This is going to be the primary type of circulation device I'm going to push. Okay? So, if they come in and buy one of these lights and an extra strip, okay, they're both going to plug into the same controller. That's a nice little setup. They're probably going to buy at least 2, possibly 3 of these pumps. And depending on what size tank they have, they're going to need a different size pump. So I'm going to keep, because I'm going to be focusing on a lot of nano tanks and smaller tanks, I'm going to keep 4 of the smallest ones, I'm going to keep 4 of the medium ones, and I'm going to keep 2 of the gigantic ones. And we'll see how it goes from there. You know, with Lightspeed, I'll be able to print sales reports, see if one of these is moving faster than the other on average after a quarterly period, after a 6-month period, after a year period, however long I want to analyze it for. And I can augment what I keep in stock as it goes. Having been in grocery management and having been doing inventory and retail for a very long time, I got a pretty good feel for what needs to be ordered and when. You know, if something started to get a run on it, I don't need a printout report to tell me. I'm just saying, I got printout reports if I need them. So, here's all the medications that we're going to be keeping. There's cost and quantity is the two columns right there on the left. Total is the total that we're going to be paying for the ones that we order. Retail is going to be the retail price per unit. Gross is going to be how much we make overall. Net is going to be how much we actually take home. Just in case you're not familiar with those terms. Medications, we're going to have a full suite of calcium and alkalinity supplement solutions. We're going to have individual supplements, just a couple bottles of each. Just a couple bottles of each, because people don't buy the same thing, you know. Everybody wants to solve the same problem a little bit differently. Everybody's got their own little liking. So having a big variety there on the calcium and alkalinity supplements. Also, it's not something that people buy very often. So just, you know, 2 of each kind of bottle, just enough to keep the shelf pretty. Okay, so there's some shelves that you want to order because that's expensive crap. You only need one of them, and you want it to sit there, and you're going to move stuff around to make the shelf look pretty while you're waiting on that other expensive item, because you don't expect that 2 people are going to buy that in the same week. And if you do, good. You've got a nice customer base, and you're going to be doing better than you thought, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's another type of shelf where it's small bottled items, okay, like food, like medications, like supplements. Those items need to be ordered 2 at a time, even if they're never going to sell. Okay, I mean, if they're never going to sell, don't order them at all. But if it's something that you really expect to move slowly, or if it's something that you keep on hand because you're not legitimate if you don't have it or something like that, like you need to have it because you know that there's going to be that one really stubborn person who really needs it, and they're going to want that, and they're going to like make fun of you or just think less of you if you don't have that one thing for them. You're going to need 2 of those bottles, even though you're only going to sell 1 every 6 months. Okay? And that's going to take up space in your store, but you're going to have that there to attract that customer who's going to buy a lot of other stuff, see? But while it's up on your shelf, you need 2 of them there. Because when he comes and buys that one, you don't want that empty-ass hole on your shelf. You want everything on your shelf to be faced forward exactly the same direction. Everything lined up perfectly like it's in the movies, okay? That's how you maintain professional stock. Especially as an owner. Because the last thing you want to do is slack as an owner. Because then, when you hire an employee, they're not going to give a fuck about what kind of alignment or facing that you have on your shelf. So you want to make sure you put it up right, and you want to make sure you order right so that it'll stay in place and where it goes on the shelf. Anyways. So, have we gotten to the point of useless randomness yet, or do we have any questions, comments? I think I might actually be done at this point. Take it easy, Joe. So anyways, as I was explaining, I have a plan out to collect investments from 7 people who will form the International Advisory Board for Easy Reefers retail store, online, and namely for the Easy Reefers Coastal Restoration Club. Basically, it's a layaway plan to own 0.7% of this company, which is going to yield an annual dividend that will recoup your investment between year 7 and 8, and then year 9, 10, you're going to be at a 30% yield and continuing to get whatever, I think it was $932 average projection per year after that. So if the store stays open for 20 years, tripling your money isn't out of the question. Doubling your money should be a given. But, like I said, it takes a long time to grow fish and to establish a retail business and that kind of thing. So I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's ass and make them think like this is going to be a whole bunch of money real quick. I'm expecting, knock on wood, that I'm going to exceed my expectations. I like to do things very conservatively, very cautiously. But let me just be real about this market that I'm trying to get into. Any fucking idiot could open up a saltwater fish store right here, right now, and make a killing. It's anybody. If it's going to be me doing it, oh, okay, that's all I'm going to say. Oh. So, $420 a month. Who's with me? Let's do this, people. I'm going to take use guys. Oh, somebody's going to do it. Come on, one of you is gonna figure out how to do it. As soon as one of you guys does, a couple other guys are going to do it. Okay? And if I can get that, I can get the SBA loan and multiply y'all's money. Okay? Multiply it. Taking on the debt myself, but I'm multiplying y'all's money. Y'all won't be liable in any way for the debt or anything like that. And then that's going to put me in a great position to call up the people on this stack of business cards I got right here. Okay, and another phone number I just my wife had to dig up because she used to work for lawyers and stuff like that, and a lot of these lawyers like to invest their money. So I've got a list of them to call. Okay. And then, on top of that, giving us another good chance to get there to where we need to be to get the SBA loan, to get the private investment. Not only do I have this layaway program set up for y'all, which is going to get y'all lots of special little extras from me. Okay. Whatever the hell I can do, basically. You want me to fucking run around naked with a goddamn rubber glove on my head. I don't care. Look at me, I'm a squid. Mannequin. Anybody? Yes, I made a mannequin reference. But then there's the charity side. And I have yet to set that up. But this right here, this is going to be a legitimate charity with a very legitimate original cause. Okay. And if it can collect the funds, or if it can qualify for a grant, and I've got one picked out, and it sounds like they're describing me. I'm like, are you talking dirty just for me, baby? Oh yeah, you're speaking my language. what I'm, I got myself there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so they were just, you know, I was starting to have to pay by the minute to read this shit. It was that good. They Louisiana in particular, the Wildlife and Fisheries is issuing a grant between $50,000 and $100,000 for coastal restoration and for education that could lead to more people signing up to be parts of the, like, there's basically a landowners association for participation in coastal restoration efforts. That's a lot of different Asians. But there's a series of combined, like a point system kind of, and I was looking through it, and some of these projects that were approved based off of fulfilling the full number of one of these sections. I've got half the sections, and like the rest of the sections I still got like 1 or 2 points. That's how tailor-made this grant program seems to me. So where we go from here, my prospective future investors here on the Patreon live stream, okay. Tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with the person who I'm going to try to get to be the chairperson of the nonprofit organization. And by chairperson, I mean I'm going to hope they put up the money to fund it. Okay? I'm going to do all the work for you, baby. I just need you to fund the freaking thing. Her husband is a cichlid breeder. And he keeps cichlids. And he used to breed them. And he'd like to one day do it again. And if there was anything I was going to keep in the store that's going to be freshwater, it's going to be cichlids. So if he wants to come in on this, that'd be great. But what I namely need is to make this an official charity. This YouTube channel is going to be basically acting as a professional salesperson for the charity. Okay. So this income, if it ever meets the taxable amounts, or it ever contributes to a total that meets the taxable amount, will be taxable, I believe, and it will require, when attached to the charity, to be registered along with it. So I've looked up everything that needs to be done with that. I need to get that all done, and then I might just straight out apply for that grant, because this is it's an ongoing thing that happens. At that point, the Easy Reefers charity, coastal restoration charity, I'm not sure exactly what the wording is going to be, what we're going to call it. The Easy Reefers Coastal Restoration Charity might be called a foundation, public foundation. You can't call it a trust in Louisiana. There are no trusts in Louisiana. That is going to purchase a 4.9% share, maybe greater. If I get a $50,000 grant, I'm probably going to purchase 9.8%. So then everything will go forward, and whether I get my 7 mini investors from Patreon or not, I'm just calling them not technically mini investors. It's basically a prearranged gift situation. You're going to be supporting me and helping me get the loan, okay? And then at the end of a year, according to our arrangement, I'm going to be gifting you a part of the company. Okay, and then from then on, every time we do an annual investors meeting, as per the operating agreement, okay, under the operating agreement, you basically predetermined, and y'all are all going to get copies of this, I suppose, at some point. It sets the dates and the meeting process on which future dates are decided, for holding meetings in which shareholders will have dividends distributed amongst them, that kind of thing, and where different motions can be raised, different people can sell access to their shares. Actually, the operator agreement specifies whether or not they can, and if they can, how they can do it, and everything else regarding transfer of ownership. So, anyways, I know if it's a bit of a stretch, and if I could do something in a smaller increment, I would. But anything smaller wouldn't get us anywhere quick enough. So that's pretty much how it is. The cool thing about Lightspeed is it's going to allow me to generate reports not only on the sales stuff, but, okay, so what gets complicated when doing a hybrid organization between a charity and a for-profit, especially a charity, a for-profit, and a wholesaler, is that you have to keep track of every last little thing that goes on between them, so you can prove that nothing shady is going on between them. So what I'm going to do is the retail store, Easy Reefers, is going to have the point of sale system called Lightspeed. That's going to allow me to enter special customer levels and like discounts and statuses, like tax rates and things like that. And basically, it allots for entering a charity as a customer. Okay. And what I can do is I can augment this tax status manually, and I can change whatever I need to change. I can change the markup that they get. I can change whatever I need. I can change the labor rate that they get under service orders. Okay. I enter in Easy Reefers as a customer, but Easy Reefers isn't buying anything from me, really. They're investing, right? It's a fund, right? I'm keeping track of Easy Reefers' money for them with the retail computer. They're going to be accepting donations. How the hell am I going to use a retail computer to keep track of that? By isolating the account into its own department and then issuing refunds. Okay, so it's going to take daily reconciliation manually by the manager, but it's just going to be as simple as a number gets printed out here, you subtract that from here, and you get your daily total. Same thing is going to happen in a different way with the wholesale side. Acadian Mariculture will have all of its books taken care of by Easy Reefers, because they will be entered in as a supplier just like any other supplier. But just like any other supplier, I'll be able to print out a complete series of reports. So I'll be able to track everything that Acadian Mariculture does through the Easy Reefer system. And actually, if need be, Lightspeed will actually let me set up a second virtual location. So it'll be as if I had two Easy Reefer stores, and I can have one store transferring and back and forth to the other store. Okay? So I could do it that way if it came to the point where I was doing enough business as far as sales to other entities besides just from Acadian Mariculture to Easy Reefers. But, you know, for the first couple of years, it's probably just going to be sales from Acadian Mariculture to Easy Reefers, and then maybe from Easy Reefers to other stores at a discount rate for simplified bookkeeping. And then when I actually get enough wholesale business, upgrade the system, add the second virtual store. It's like a little more extra per month, but it'll be worth it. So anyways, boy, if I haven't covered everything by now, does anybody have any more questions? Or any questions at all? I don't think you can really freaking ask many questions. I'm just trying to be thorough here. I'm trying to give as detailed a window as I can into what the operations are going to be like. Because, like I said, it would take a genuine fool to just make a little bit of money around here. They really, like, even a fool wouldn't even go out of business at this point. The last saltwater store that was in this town was here when the population wasn't quite as settled or productive. It was right after Katrina, and it closed down during the economic collapse. They apparently were highly invested in retirement funds and whatever, and customers just stopped coming. A lot like what happened to me at the car lot that I was working at the time, I'm sure. And there has not been a saltwater store in this area since. Okay. But I have talked to buku people. Buku. And every single one of them, man, that's a great idea. There used to be a store over there. Oh, you'd make a killing. Everybody. Man, I've been wanting to set up a saltwater fish tank. Everybody I talked to. Not just 2 out of 3, not 9 out of 10. Everybody I talked to says it's a great idea, says they want a fish tank. Everybody says they want a fish tank. And you know what? It's kind of true. Everybody kind of does want a saltwater fish tank. You know why they don't sell more? It's because we're not selling them. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. Turn is in turnaround time. Projected turnaround time based upon minimum net. This metropolitan area, it's a country town, but it has an incorporated city limits of 49,000 and change. Okay, so 50,000 people here. The surrounding area that is unserved contains about 250,000 people. Okay, you have to go to the other side of Baton Rouge or to Mississippi just to find another saltwater fish store. If you look at the, just pull it up right quick. And by right quick, I mean it could take forever. And also, I'm not going to be relying on local sales. This is definitely going to be an online thing. My inventory system is going to be allowing me to do automated postings from within my store inventory, as well as drop shipments directly from suppliers. So, my salespeople are going to be happy. I used to work on a commission-based plus hourly job as a parts manager using the same system. Automotive parts manager. Well, not automotive parts. Motorcycle, ATV, and jet ski parts, actually. It was fun. Good times. But let me get this more complete figures in the actual business plan. Would you please just Do what I want you to do. No, it's just disappearing on me. Come on. Oh, it did it, finally. Okay. Now we're going to delete the top. So basically, if you divide the percentage of households with aquariums by the industry average per year annual, the pet sales, you get about 490 million a year, which I double checked was correct, so I was on the right track with my math. That's countrywide. So the Zachary area only can, by those estimates, be expected to yield $76,562, roughly $76,000 a year, just in the Zachary area. The immediate surrounding areas, because they have no competing stores, should be capable of yielding gross, now this is gross, another $214,375 a year, so about another $214,000 a year. Total about $390,000 per year gross. Now, if you take my business plan as a whole, my production estimates, the amount of shelf space I have, the amount of employees I have, the amount of hours that I can stay open, how often I can move the product, I estimated my revenues that way, and then I came up with similar numbers, and that's all the details of the business plan. I have basically projected it forwards and backwards, and what I really did to justify whether or not I can stay open is, can I stay open as just a retail store? Yes. Can I stay open as just a wholesale outlet once I get producing? Yes. So combining the wholesale and the retail, and then having a charity with common cause that's going to help me, with exposure, it's a pretty win-win. And of course, saving the world is a nice bonus, right? I think. I don't want to run out of oxygen. I don't know about you, but I like breathing. You like breathing? I like breathing. I mean, it has its limitations. But the big issue that our byproduct is addressing. So the byproduct here is going to be mangrove trees. And I'm going to be continuing to produce several of the other macroalgae that I do, which are all very good at contributing to the same process that mangrove trees are good for. But the main workhorse, the strong thing that can do multiple jobs that we desperately need done as a people, are the mangrove trees. And as Acadian Mariculture is going to be producing livestock for the Easy Reefers retail store, and as Easy Reefers is continuing to house that livestock, feeding it, it's producing feces. Those feces are going to be producing phosphates and nitrates. That's going to act as fertilizer for the mangroves. Once those mangroves are planted, they're going to not only help hold in the coastline, but they're going to help reduce the overall amount of phosphates and nitrates in the water. And I mean, sure, planting plants outside seems like a very novel, useless thing to do. But if you're planting those plants in areas where the water's flowing through them, they do exponentially more good than, say, a tree sitting offshore or a cypress tree that's been surrounded by water. These mangrove trees really do process a lot. But most of their bulk seems to be in their root system, actually, and their roots are not only capable of holding existing dirt in place, but they're really kind of capable of making their own islands. If you do a lot of research into how mangroves wind up forming, there are some places that look like solid land, but if you dive underneath the mangrove trees, they do not attach. Anyway. Any other questions? And by the way, for the major metropolitan area that I'm nearest by, it's Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is the capital of Louisiana, the second most populous city in Louisiana. And the reason why Zachary in particular, as far as small or suburban areas goes, is the best place to set up shop is that the housing is much nicer around here. The per capita income is the highest in Louisiana here. The per capita credit rating is the highest in Louisiana in the city of Zachary. We have the best schools in Zachary, and most of the schools around here actually participate in coastal restoration efforts. So, there you go. What I want to do is basically be a nice community contributing business in this small, very, relatively close-knit town, while making Zachary itself a more attractive place to live, while helping the property values go up both commercially in the area that I build, but also making helping the residential population in this area, making the real estate prices increase. Because for any small town like this, it's kind of like boutique residency. I mean, it's really how you can think about it. It's boutique residency. That town needs to have one of each type of shop for it to really achieve its full real estate value. So I'm going to be helping them do that in what little way I can, And we're going to be providing on-site service, installation. We're going to be providing bulk discounts to construction developers. There are still a couple of big development neighborhoods that are in the works that just got cleared permits for here in Zachary. So, there's a lot of money to be made for a town where you can buy half an acre for 30 grand. I repeat, half an acre for 30 fucking grand. Okay? That's another big thing about what makes this business plan work. I mean, there's a lot of big things that all individually make this business plan work, and I managed to combine all of them in an energy efficient, flood-proof, self-lighting, self-cooling structure. What more could anyone ask for? And the fact is that, oh, you know what? I had to add this in as a bonus to y'all. In fact, I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to put it in the writing. And it's going to have to be approved by Patreon again before the edit shows up. The Paragon, the building company. Okay, so this floating pet store is actually just a means to an end. And that is a revolutionary new method of housing human beings that isn't subject to annihilation at Mother Nature's whim. Because, she's kind of moody, and I think in the age of a box, okay, we can make a box that can videotape and edit the video, and I can like build I could build an entire corporate enterprise if I had the funding to start it with. I could build it all right on my little phone here. All in this little box. I can play video games and music. I can edit and make music. There's a little guitar thing on there. I can pretend I'm playing the guitar. All in this tiny little box. But when it rains a lot, we lose our houses. Seriously. Humans. Come on. We can do better than this. Okay? We should be building houses with integrated pylon structures, as I've designed, that are themselves capable of floating. So they can float within the pylons, not be moved by extreme currents or tsunami waves, not be destroyed by other structures that haven't been updated, that are just going to float away as soon as the fucking water comes. Now, this series of buildings ranges from, for starters, that's the original sketch. You can get a little bit. Oh no! Hold on. I'm gonna make this bigger. Hold on. I think I have a camera already over here. Oh, that's not right. I'm going to pull out the sketchbook. I'm going to show y'all some sketches. So, the designs of these structures, they range between a floating shed to a floating garage to a floating small efficiency one-person house to a economical multi-bedroom house to a configurable modular adjoinable structure that can form everything between a military hospital or an on-site prison or a barracks or an armed encampment. And then I have versions that can be arranged into beautiful suburban homes, still capable of resisting flash flooding. And these homes are. Let me go ahead and add the microphone or add the video thing I'm trying to add. 250 USB. No, I don't have the big camera anymore. Okay. Let me set one up. Video, USB. There we go. Alright. So if you see this, it's just a good old normal looking house. But when the water raises on this house, it raises too. And it's not raising up on a series of telescoping sticks that are just going to bend and break. Now, as brilliant as that little suburban linking structure is, I don't think that's the best one. Oh, look. Safer carts. The best go-kart nobody will ever build, because I've never got around to doing anything with it. That, well, let me just give this invention away right now to anybody who wants to build this. I gave it to Sean Mahaney, but he died on a motorcycle wreck. And I had to find out from his wife. I messaged him. Sean Mahaney is the brilliant mechanic that you may have seen on many Speed and Spike channel shows that could take the bottom of one car and weld it to the top of another car, basically, so you could have like an all-wheel drive Corvette with like a Z71 drivetrain. He built like one of them big Buick Regals with an all-wheel drive Z71 drivetrain. That was kind of crazy. But anyways, Safer Cart is exactly what it says it is. Okay? It's a cart made for racing, just like any other little racing cart. But it's got a roll bar and crumple zones. Okay? And all that stuff is designed to be damaged and easily replaced within reason, of course. And what's interesting is when I drew that, I actually designed a hub that could work on all four wheels, like basically a caliper bracket that could be reversed and flipped. Okay, and then you could take the brake caliper and mount it either way on both sides, and you could have one part for all four wheels, simplifying your manufacturing process, simplifying your ordered part process, which would be in the case if you were going to develop something like a small cart. And a year later, Peugeot came out with the same thing on one of their race cars. But wait. While I'm on the subject of race cars, and I know I'm getting a little bit off on a tangent here, but remember how I drawn the ooh, there's a little side tangent. The company race car is going to be a Clownfish Integra. Look at that. Clownfish Integra. Clownfish Integra. Okay. My sketchbook is just hours of fun. Oh, there it is. Okay. So on Le Mans, in the American series, I was sitting there bragging about the design in the front of this notebook, which is a prototype designed around a front spoiler. Okay? And I was showing some options about how you could take that front spoiler and put it in some different configurations, and I was explaining how they used one of those options that I explained to them. But what I didn't realize is that I had also actually drew the car that they wound up building. But in fact, mine's still a little bit better, because I have in this one not just the spoiler that they wound up using, right here, the front spoiler, right? But I have this additional series of side canards. Alright, oh, that way. Around. Ah! Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go that way. Yes. Okay, there, right. My dirty ass fingernails. So there's this extra bit of front spoiler on there that goes up like a external C-pillar kind of. But anyways, my favorite view of this particular drawing is the ass. Look at the ass on that thing. That's beautiful. And then of course I have the front wheel drive prototype Le Mans car I've designed, which ought to be pretty cool. But anyways, I'm friends with Peter Cunningham and Ryan Eversley from just like years of following them on Facebook and being big fans of theirs in racing. And I share design improvements and ideas with them, as well as tuning improvements when I see them having trouble on their, well, back when I had seen them having trouble in their race cars. Since I gave them the little bit of advice that I could give them, they haven't had much trouble. I'm not saying that's because of me, and they've developed as a team. But racing is just one of the many, many subjects we cover on this channel, because it relates closely, whether you realize it or not, to the overall problem, because it's about consumption. And what I support on this channel are racing teams that contribute to the overall fuel efficiency of the cars that we drive every day. And real-time racing and Honda and Acura have definitely been one of those players in the game. So, anyways, back to the buildings. I was hoping I could find this duplex design. Oh look, there's one of the early renderings of the Gulf Atlantic Interactive Educational Aquarium, Gaia. And let's see here. We've got the floor structure, we've got the roof structure, we've got the frame structure, we've got the foundation structure. We've got a weird looking little double version of the house where two of the different things attached together at the corner, just, you know, because I wanted to see how it would work. And anything I was curious about, I just went ahead and drew it out to see how it worked. But I guess it's in the other notebook where I have the beach houses. So, for one of my older or former viewers, Emily, she was looking to develop some condos, so I drew some up for her. But I don't think they ever wound up getting around to it. But what was cool about those condos is not only were they based on the flood-proof, the 7A model, which A means deluxe top tier, not aquaculture in that acronym earlier. Really? Maybe it's the sketchbook that the laptop was sitting on. Oh, let me flash my password page at you. Shit. You'd never read that. So, they were duplexes. Check that out. So that's two sides of the building, and then one side shown decorated. And second story loft. So that's a one bedroom beach house, complete with multiple entertainment areas, full kitchen and bar. And I was thinking they should all come with their own little saltwater aquariums, just in case you wanted to like collect stuff off the beach, you know. And then of course there's the giant luxury yacht version, which is basically a mansion that turns into a yacht. And again, these are buildings that are capable of being hit by freaking tsunamis. That's the whole point of them. That's the whole point. Energy efficient, lighting efficiency, heating efficiency, cooling efficiency. But above all else, it's got to be able to take a big freaking wave. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to preserve 4.9% of Paragon, and I'm going to gift that to the Easy Reefers Madness membership. Okay? So the plan with Paragon is once these other things happen, okay, I have a particular guy, I don't know whether he wants to do it or not, but it's really not that hard to find commercial developers. I'm going to find a commercial developer, a guy who works with multiple general contractors, and I'm going to basically let them take over Paragon. I'm going to let them run, own, and operate it, and I'm going to maintain a percentage. And part of that percentage I'm going to give to you, because by helping me start this, you will have helped me start that. So it's only fair that the equity that I would have offered at least sweeteners on, I should all give to y'all. So that 7%, 0.7%. Let me just do a brief projection on that. Because when you're talking about the commercial production of deployable buildings that are modular and scalable and useful for everything from the most luxurious beach houses possible to disaster relief shelters to military and other types of shelters, you're talking about a lot of money. Now, let's see here. I'm assuming that after 10 years, that a company like that could produce around $580,000 in net profits. Who else is here? Does that sound roughly fair for a commercial building production thing? Especially in the in-demand nature that it would be in, being they're flood-proof buildings, that they could actually get sold and trend as far as the market goes. I'm going to call it 580 net per year times 0.7. That way. 580 times 0.007. Because I'm not a moron. Oh. That's $4,060 per year. So say this company actually hits it big. If it hits it big, the market is there for it to net in excess of $20 million a year. It could go into a couple of billion per year, but let's say 20 million a year. If for some reason I should be able to get Paragon off the ground and do what I expect it to do, okay, minimal, you know, good Louisiana wide and Gulf Mexico wide sales, I could see 580,000 a year net. But if it goes international, if it goes global, 20 million a year is a reasonable expectation. Times 0.007. Oh God. That's what I call shitting in tall cotton right there. That's a hell of a residual possibility. Just a possibility. Okay? For $420 a month for a year. And that's what it is. For a year. That's it. For a year. $420 a month. Patreon keeps 10%. So you wind up paying a total of $5,040, and I get $4,800, something like that. I think that's it. After 1 year. Licorice stick. Now, whoever's left, tell me what your opinion is on the Paragon structures. And just bear in mind, since I completed those designs, we saw the great flood of 2016. And then we saw another flood after that. You know, that's a 1,000-year flood. You can't flood again. And then just fucking flooded again, didn't it? Anybody still here? It says people are watching. I was hoping for a little feedback. 'Cause I don't know. I don't want to delude myself here. I don't want to pull anybody's chain. I'm very much open to hearing reasonable arguments. What do you think the total sales potential is, so we can extrapolate a net probably about 25% profit margin in that business, because of the way I have it set up to where you'd be mass producing major components of these structures. They'd be shipped by 18-wheeler or cargo container to the site. Having been pre-assembled, they'd be really easy to assemble on site. And in addition to that, this facility or any franchise facility would be capable of making basically pre-ordered custom wall frames. So instead of say you're a general contractor and you've got a bunch of fourplexes or something to build, instead of building all the different walls and then erecting them on site, you order the walls from us, we deliver them, and then you have your guys just put them together. And then you get to sheetrocking. But that's just one extra way to make profit off of the advantage that the existing infrastructure will provide. But what I want to hear from anybody who can comment right now is, what do you think the net sales potential is, or the gross sales potential is, so I can get a net, gross or net, whichever one you want to guess at, of the Paragon development construction as a whole. Okay, how many people do you think want to buy buildings that don't flood? I think it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be government contracts. I think it's going to be foundation, charitable contracts. And it's not just about, oh, you need to patent your design because other people want to figure it out and build something similar. It's going to be about the production process. It's going to be about planning ahead of time to do it cheaper and better, to discourage people from trying to get into it. Okay? Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to have, for the $420 a month Easy Reefers Madness members, it's going to be 0.7% of Easy Reefers retail store. And then once Paragon is incorporated, I'm going to allocate, or I'm going to reserve 4.9% of my total shares, total ownership percentage in that company, and I'm going to distribute that 0.7 at a time, the same way I distribute the Easy Reefers thing. And if we make $20 million a year, if Easy Reefers, which I'm not going to be running, by the way, I'm not going to be running it. I'm going to leave that to fucking commercial developer guy, whoever I find. I've got a short list of candidates. I'm going to leave them to run it. And I'm going to help them with consulting. I'm going to help them design and develop future products. I'm going to help them test and implement existing products and designs that I've already come up with. And I'm going to help them market. I'm going to help them set up their light speed and whatever kind of computer solution they want to use. I'm basically going to work for them part-time. It's going to be, I'm gonna retain partial ownership. I think I'm gonna keep about 10%, right? So I'm gonna be giving y'all 4.9 out of my 10%. But if it makes $20 million a year, I just want to see that number again. I remember what it was. I just want to see it again. 20 million times 0.007. $140,000 for 0.07% of a company. So then, more realistic explanation, makes $2 million a year. If it sells in Louisiana and Mississippi and a little bit in Texas, $2 million a year, $14,000 a year for having contributed $5,000 on layaway. That's pretty fucking sweet. If I had the money, I'd do it. But wait, if I had the money, I wouldn't be asking you. But anyways, I guess that's going to be all for now. I was wondering what else Richard was going to say about his 210 gallon and his 55 gallon freshwater. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it a broadcast for now, because I think we've beaten all the subjects into a bloody pulp here, haven't we? I think the horse is dead. Yeah, it's shot right past the glue factory and went straight into Lucky Charms marshmallows. Just let it sink in for a second. It's a joke. I assure you, it's a joke. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. I am not trying to augment any of the current support methods that my ongoing supporters have employed for a number of years, unless they can, revert to this mechanism which I've set up, both to help this endeavor get, started, but also to pay y'all back for the support that you've given me over the years so far. The $42 a month Patreon support the channel is for new people who wish to support the channel. And I really hate these stupid alarm clocks. Okay. Nobody's ever around to hear them. Okay. Anyways. So, any new viewers who didn't feel comfortable with my previous arrangement, I'm proud to announce that you can support us in the amount of $42 a month if you'd be so kind to. Please check out the Patreon link. I'm going to be figuring out more and more stuff I can provide to just my Patreon contributors. And for the usual people, and you know who you are, if you don't want to jump to that layaway investment, please just keep what we're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Y'all are the people who are keeping us fed and keeping my freaking lights on and stuff. Which, oh god, it's all coming to an end. So, ooh, but it's almost the end of the month, so I'll actually have a little bit of my own money to pay bills with. Yay! But anyways, yep. So if you've been supporting us, don't worry about the support the channel thing. Just you know, mull over whether or not you want to step up or can step up. I'm not expecting anybody to who can't. But if anybody who can and they want to get paid back for the support they've given us over the years, or if you just like a lucrative investment that helps establish a worthwhile cause, please consider becoming an Easy Reefers Madness member. Okay? Because for $400 a month, you'd have to be crazy, right? But we're going to be giving out coral frags to anybody who's got a reef tank inside the United States. And I'm going to be putting up together a personalized thank you and care packages for everybody else who contributes. And you know, my normal guys, if you guys, you know, really want something from me, all y'all got to do is just ask. But anyways, I think I'm done. Is this broadcast going on long enough? Yeah, we're done. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. See y'all some more. Take it easy, but don't take it all. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. Go out and do something fun. Peace.
The way you treated me too many times before. going on.